I think that's a critically important issue, and I find that this cultural deficit theory, or there's a resurgence in this, cultural deficit theory way of thinking. I felt like we dealt with that, but I'm finding that there's a resurgence in describing what's happening as a fault of individuals, or blame it on the home environment, or, as you said earlier, these poor students, we need to tame them or socialize them to be able to succeed inside schools. And so, it's these middle class values that are, are our students meeting those standards or values. We need to talk about these disproportionate ways that students are disciplined. But now I'm seeing educators make the connection between education and incarceration. How are our zero tolerance policies, or how are our purportedly race-neutral discipline policies effectively pushing young people outside of schools? And as you mentioned, the Children's Defense Fund has always put out, really accessible one-pagers that document how black and brown and poor children, specifically black and brown young people, are routinely dismissed from classes and disciplined at greater rates, higher rates, routinely than white students. And there's new information. You can look at the Sentencing Project or and NAACP Legal Defense Fund that talk about how despite what the public narrative is about young people and drugs and sort of negative, this pathology of criminality, that white students are actually taking drugs more, and that youth of color actually don't engage in drug activity or drug culture in the way that it's imagined. So I think part of my responsibility is keeping that part of the conversation through my scholarship. So through new research projects or the dissertation work, showing other kinds of youth behavior and arguing that perhaps these policies are criminalizing what used to be normal youth behavior. And just, if people aren't making those connections, then I need to make those connections. We're trying to understand, what does it mean when we say we have a zero tolerance policy? What does it mean when we skip steps like conflict resolution and cultivating community in classrooms and immediately go to writing up a student, dismissing them from the classroom? What consequences or disadvantages are we encountering or that will incur if we don't take the step to connect those dots and see the bigger picture? I think more and more people are, you hear a lot of times people say, oh, well, the prison population is based on test scores. So I think that's kind of becoming part of the public narrative, and people are understanding that we're starting to project who will be arrested and who will be in prison based on test scores and based on behaviors.